Alright, so I'm making this video because not a whole lot of guys on YouTube explain on John Deere paint how to use it, and how to mix it, how to spray it. So this is about 5 years of spraying John Deere paint. This is classic, but the yellow and the green, all the greens and all the yellows spray about the same way. So this is reduced with mineral spirits, 5 to 1. 5 parts paint, 1 part mineral spirits, sprayed out of a 1.4 tip. And I tried a 1.6 and a 1.8, and in my opinion, the 1.4 works the best. So you can see it's pretty flat, a little bit of orange peel in it, but I like to wet sand and buff my stuff out. And you can wet sand this and buff it out, and you can get it as flat as any paint. You can kind of see the orange peel there a little bit. So what I do is, this is one mist coat, which is not quite covering. You can see through the paint. And let it dry about 15 minutes. And then you come back with a wet coat. Wait another 15 or 20 minutes, and then one more full coat. And this is how it ends up. Like I said, a little orange peely, but it buffs good. It wet sands and buffs good. Here's a real flat surface to give you an idea. Like I said, a little orange peel, but that'll buff right out. For most guys, for most stuff, this would probably be an acceptable finish. You can really see the orange peel there. But, you know, it's good and thick. So, you know, you can wet sand it good and get nice and flat. I'd have to guess about 2.5 mils. You can see on the edges and stuff, it's perfectly flat. Like I said, it's 5 to 1, 1.4 tip, about 40 pounds of air. And actually the nozzle is pretty narrow when I spray too. There's a little dent in that seat. Sweet. But and you know, when you spray it, it actually looks much more orange peel, but it does flow. This paint actually flows pretty well. And after you spray a couple coats of this, or you spray it a couple times, I mean, you'll understand how it flows. But you'll have to spray a couple test pieces and then go back and then play with it a little bit to get a feel. This is under the frame, so it's no big deal. But on top, I mean on the side of the frame, that's gonna have to look good. That'll be wet sanded and buffed there. But at least it gives an idea. That's what I do, and that's been working for me. And I usually like to wait about a week to about 10 days for it to dry and shrink all the way. It will shrink quite a bit. If there's any nicks or rust or anything, it does sink in pretty well. So be cautious of that. Sometimes if I get a part that's got a lot of rust or nicks or scratches in it that I didn't catch before, I'll actually wet sand it flat and then spray another like 2 white coats on top, wet sand it again, and it'll be perfectly flat. I try to not do that because it's a lot of labor on that, but you can get it perfect. And for how cheap this paint is, it's pretty decent. It's pretty good. You can see how flat that is. It's pretty good there. But so this is a round fender 110 frame I'm doing. This frame's mine. The seat pans are for another guy. He restores snowmobiles and old John Deere tractors. His business is Dead Sled Restoration. His name is Bill Hemling in Wisconsin. There's his number there. Maybe if it'll focus. Good guy. Does awesome work. I do most of his paint. He does a lot of the other little paint, and he's got a mechanic on hand that rebuilds engines, transmissions, all that stuff. He redoes parts. If he needs parts, he buys the new stuff. That's good stuff. New tires, whatever. Up to the customer, whatever they want. But his stuff is A+, awesome. Turns out amazing when it's done. And like I said, I do most of the A finish work, paint for him. Patios, snowmobiles. John Deere snowmobiles mostly, but he's really an encyclopedia of old vintage snowmobiles. And again, his mechanic does amazing work with the engines and carburetors. And they run as good as they look when they're done. They really look good. Run good. He uses them. He goes to Michigan every year and puts miles on, so you know that they run as good as they look too. But by all means, if you want some restoration work done, give Bill a call. He'll hook you up. And he worked at John Deere for a lot of years. He knows how stuff was put together, how it's supposed to be put together, why stuff is put together the way it is. And he's just a super good guy and really knows his stuff. But yeah, it's a 64 frame, little rotisserie I made. And like I said, this John Deere paint, for what it costs, is really good stuff. Put a decent primer underneath, make sure everything's good and flat, sandblasted, whatever you wanna, whatever your preference is on that. This happens to be the classic green, but the other green sprays the same. 5-to-1. A lot of guys put hardener in, but I don't know. I have pretty good luck without hardener. It takes a little bit longer to dry and shrink up, but I like it. So, alright guys, have fun with the restorations, and that's the type of, that's how I spray it. Works pretty good for me. And have fun, good luck with the restorations.